Alrighty. So in this video, I'm gonna go over the graffiti marker, show you how everything works. So if you have a question about something, hopefully this answers it. Or if you want a pretty real representation of like what it looks like in game before you buy it, hopefully this video will also do that for you as well. And with that said, first thing we're gonna do is enable the thing, right? So once you're done with the installation, you'll have a whole menu dedicated to the marker. First one is to enable it. Once you enable it, it'll make a cool little effect right in front of you. Can will just kind of pop in. It'll just sit there in the world until you grab it. In order to grab it, you put your hand, could be your right hand or your left hand, doesn't matter which one, over it, and you'll make a fist. When you do that, it'll put the can in your hand, and if you're using the gesture controller I provided, it'll also make your hand do a specific gesture, so that it looks like you're holding the can. If you're not using that controller, it's not going to do the gesture. It's up to you. It's preference, really. But it's included, so you can use it. Next thing is to start spraying things. If you're on index or like you're using knuckles controllers, you'll use the trigger on your index finger and you'll press that down when you're holding it and it'll start to spray it. Or if you're like on quest, you'll use your middle finger and you'll press that down and it'll start spraying things. Right now it's just doing a cool little mist thing. It does not put anything down, right? Because it's a graffiti marker. It's supposed to simulate like spray paint. And so in order to do that, you have to go up against the wall, and then you can go ahead and you start spraying, right? Pretty cool. I'll do like a little first-person view of that. You get a better look at that. But just want to quickly show that. The next thing I want to go real quick is in regards to shaking the can, right? So when you go ahead and you shake the can, it'll do a little rattling sound. When you stop shaking, it'll stop the sound. When you're shaking and then you start moving around, it's going to stop the sound. If you're shaking and then you start spraying, right, it's going to stop doing the rattling sound because I don't like it. Makes sense, right? That's why it exists and it works like that. That's it there. Next thing I want to go over now is I'm going to go to the first person view and show you everything else in the menu. Okay. First thing is going to be in regards to the changing the color, right? You go to this option here, the hue adjust, and this is going to go with your red, your green, your blues, whatever, you know, RGB gamer colors. Black and white, this is going to make you go through different shades of black all the way to white, and that's going to be affected by the hue adjust, right? So when it's 100% it's black, as I go lower, it becomes much more white, right? Brightness is also going to be affecting color. So if I was to go ahead and spray this right now, this is like a red, right? If I change brightness to 0 and I start spraying, it's more like a pink. If I go to 100%, it's more like a maroon, right? So that's going to affect the shade of the color. Hue adjust is going to be the color. Black and white is going to make it so that you go through between different shades of, you know, black, white, gray, etc. The next option is emission. When you enable this and you start doing things, this is just going to make all the particles you put down start to glow, right? Looks pretty cool in some worlds. Next one is shaking audio. So when you have this enabled, right, or when it's disabled and you start shaking the can, it'll make this sound. If you don't like this sound, you find it annoying, you could just enable it, and now when you shake it, it's not going to do that sound. The next option is eraser. So I went through a couple ways to visualize this, and I settled on none of them. I hated all of them. And so instead, I have absolutely no visualizer. Just know that when you have eraser on, when you put the can in front of something you drew, that it's going to start erasing it, okay? When you have it disabled, then you can start drawing again. But when it's enabled, it just erases stuff. Next one is index gestures. So if you have knuckles controllers, you want to have this enabled so that when you grab the can, it'll do this gesture, right? So that you're holding the can rather than having your individual fingers being tracked. When you let go of the can, it'll let you use your individual fingers tracking again. But when you have the can in your hand, it'll do that gesture. The next option is going to be in regards to, really not an option, we're pretty much over the menu, in regards to spraying people in the face. To do that, all you gotta do is you point the can at someone's face, and then you start spraying. It'll do this little effect on the screen until the can gets pointed away from them or you stop spraying. It also is affected either hue adjust, right? Hue shift color, whatever. So pretty cool, pretty fun, mess with people. One more thing, or a couple of things, actually, like two more things, is that when you're further away from the wall, it's the reticle, right? It shows you, the size of your paint is going to be bigger. As you get closer, it will be smaller, right? So you can do that. One thing you might also notice is that the particles aren't directly on the wall. This varies between world to world because some worlds have a collider for the wall directly, like how you see it, like the wall right here. Some worlds, they have a collider pushed up a bit. This world has it pushed up a bit, right? So it's in line like with this, like right here. So it kind of varies from world to world. Sometimes the particles will be on the wall directly. Sometimes it'll be like a bit forward in front of it. It looks fine regardless, but something you should be aware of. And that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, one more thing is that, so sometimes you might also find that when you're holding the can against the wall, this happens sometimes, not really too often. I'm not really too sure what causes, but because I'm, transparency, sometimes this reticle could start to drift. Like you might see it kind of start sliding in a direction, even though you're pointing here. If it does that, just kind of like give it a little shake, should fix itself, or try disabling the marker and then re-enabling it, should fix it, or just kind of wait it out, it goes away eventually. But just something you should be aware of. But other than that, I'm pretty sure that's it. If you like have any other questions or something, then message me on Discord, or like, I don't know, whatever. Yeah, sound good. That's it. Have fun.